Every town should have a Punisher. The people that have intelligence, that have open minds, they will still have an open mind.
Fucking life. Not a black person without a life.
To me, I feel like it's a little bit of a slap in the face to this country.
GHI.
Do you know what that is? That's faggot. And Polish people all look the same. So you think the phones are listening to you?
I'm convinced of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are.
I kind of knew it too, but what still the deal was that whole Tennessee thing.
What Tennessee thing?
How I always joke about moving to Tennessee, and all of a sudden I started receiving realtors.
Yes. It's like people are like, oh, I was thinking this, and then next thing you know, I got an ad. But it's probably more likely that they were thinking it because at some other point they were saying something about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Alex Jones had exposed this, and they started making fun of him, saying, oh, he says the microwaves are listening to you. Basically, what he was saying is all kinds of electronics probably have transponders and shit stuck into them because people don't. You don't bring any of your electronics to a place to get fixed anymore. You just buy a new one. See, when you used to have TV repairmen and shit like this, of course they would find this stuff, but nobody knows what the hell's inside the damn thing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's and you think of things like thermostats and all this shit that is linked up to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be very easy for Verizon or Google or any of
The Chinese have already been convicted of doing that.
Of course. Well, yeah. What's the name of that? Huawei or?
Yeah.
Huawei. Yeah, we're gonna make a soundbite of that. Huawei. Yeah. So it's funny because like this guy constantly like he does some ridiculous stuff and it's fucking it's shock jock radio mixed in with a little bit of news here and stuff like that. But like the gay frogs, he was absolutely right about the gay frogs. Absolutely right. He was right about the polls, right?
Mm-hmm.
They said he was crazy. And the funny thing is some of the stuff that he's gotten attacked by the mainstream media for is because he's made a mistake and came out himself and made the retraction. So he's come out himself and made a retraction. Next thing you know, the mainstream media is talking about the shit he did. And it's like, because he made a retraction, something that you guys never do. Or if you do, you put it on the back page of your web content. You don't ever even say it on the TV. It's just like if we were going to do some regulation, which I'm not for regulation, but if you were going to do something like that, be like, okay, if you say something on a particular show, you have to address that retraction on that same show.
Yeah.
That would be ethical. Like, you shouldn't have to be regulation to do that. That should just be part of the ethics, the code of ethics that professional journalists, adhere to on their own accord. They keep telling us how professional they are and how it's important that you leave the stuff to the professionals. Okay, well then, police yourself. Police yourself, with your own code of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you won't? Okay, well then, citizen journalists are going to pop up, and they're going to call you fake news, and you can't get mad about it, because if you were being ethical on your own accord, you wouldn't be touched. You could have that air about you because you're living up to it. You're standing, you're standing there doing what you're practicing what you preach. And it's weird. Yeah, so we're in agreement that the phones are listening.
Oh, faz abo. Oh, man, fucking feed.
Oh, yeah, because I'm the only person that you following.
Oh, shit. How the fuck do I follow new people? How do I find new people?
I've never actually used the phone. I do all my mind stuff on the computer. So right now, I'm referring Hubert to Minds because a lot of our GHI stuff has been doing rather well on Minds. And some of the music stuff that I do is doing well on Minds. And it's like anything else. I mean, there are, like, they talk about, like, the right-wing nuts. There are some on there. But, like I always say, I'd rather know who the crazies are.
Yeah, that's why this attack on freedom of speech constantly is ridiculous.
It's like you
Don't you want to know? Listen, the people that are sitting there talking about stuff and doing stuff are not the people you should fear. It's the ones that, like, briefly mention something here and there, maybe. The ones that don't speak to anybody. And all of a sudden come out and they start shooting up a mall.
Yeah, usually the MO for lately, it's been like they'll make one or two threatening posts like that, a few weeks before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened, that happened one of the last wave and then a couple in the wave before. So, people aren't saying shit and then all of a sudden they come out with something like that. That's the person that's talking bullshit all the time is a bullshit artist.
Yeah, those are really, I don't know, not the people you fear. You hear about the guy caught by accident in Lafayette?
No.
Lives in the same town as my friend. He's a white. They're branding him as a white supremacist. He got into a car accident. State police respond, and they found weapons in his car and searched his house. They found cache of weapons, 3 kilos of marijuana, some methamphetamines.
The meth is what's going to do it. The marijuana is probably the only thing that kept them from doing it for so long.
Yeah, they found illegal magazines, high-capacity mags, and my favorite, the grenade launcher.
The guy had a fucking grenade launcher. Now, so you can't buy a grenade launcher legally, can you?
Maybe. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of shit that you have to be on a.
I don't know. I've never actually shot for a grenade launcher, but theoretically, I think you can in other states. What they're probably calling about grenade launcher is not like an RPG. They're probably the attachment for the AR-15, where you stick it in and it's one of those deals. But he also found him with boxes of SS bolt stickers and a manual of how to own a sleeve.
What a piece of shit! Thank God for random accidents, huh?
But no one ever knew about this guy.
It's funny because, like, that's one guy, right? And so you think about it, there's probably maybe 50,000 hardcore white supremacists. Probably a few million, passive white supremacists in the country,
There's
right?
probably a few thousand in New Jersey.
Sure. But we're talking about passive, right? But hardcore, probably like 50,000, maybe 100,000 in 320 million people, right? Now, there are crazy assholes doing the same sorts of things as these guys for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear about them in the news, even though they're caught every day, because it's not the narrative that they're trying to spin.
Yeah,
it's like, yes, these people exist, but they're not. You're treating like they're the only ones. I'm like, fucking gang violence is the same sort of thing. Motivations might be different. But then again, a lot of times it's not, because then you look at some of these Latino gangs and some of these black gangs. There's a lot of racial motivation going on. I mean, look what was going on in California to a lot of the black communities that were the Spanish gangs were moving into. They were just fucking terrorizing normal, everyday fucking citizens because they were black.
Mm-hmm.
But because the perpetrators were Indians. It doesn't fit the narrative. You can't talk about it, but you should be able to talk about it, because what about those poor fucking people that are dealing with it?
Yeah, so you guys start watching, like, mainstream media, I don't even watch it anymore. I flipped it on the other day, and it's like I'm expecting to go on CNN like to see like Hong Kong protests and all kinds of stuff, and all they're doing is talking about Trump. Like seriously, like are it the big three? Like all they do is it the Trump channels? Is that all they do?
And Fox, for the most part, Fox is just controlled opposition. It's the same fucking shit.
Yeah, it's all ridiculous. You gotta start watching like documentaries and shows, and even the documentaries have their own spin to them. So you gotta be careful with that.
Sure.
And,
And that's why, like, we were watching that documentary. It's insane. But I started trying to fact check some of the stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I fact checked was proven to be absolutely true. And some other stuff.
Go to ask a Polish person about the history of World War II. You will get a totally different view than what we are taught in our history classes.
Of course.
Basically, who was this? Who was telling me? I know you mentioned it, but I think my mother was telling me too. There's not. It wasn't like they really described it. Basically, the Russians were the ones that fucked Poland, and the Americans and the British and the French and the Allies they were in cahoots. They were in cahoots
because they needed
them. And who knows? Who knows what the real thing is? Mostly, everyone wants to talk about how like Hitler always killed all the Jews, but what about all the Polish people that he killed, and all the Polish people that Stalin took out,
and the Russians how many were found?
How many priests were taken out? By the Russians. Basically, once World War II, like Russians came in and took over, they did a clean sweep of any kind of political opposition to communism.
And the funny thing is people don't realize that the people that were running Russia was actually a Jewish elite.
Yeah, the Bolsheviks were
from the old Khazar fucking areas. Yeah. So it's very odd.
You can't speak about that because all of a sudden you're branded an anti-Semite.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because it's the only subject in the world where there's actual legal penalties for asking a question about it.
Yeah,
that's a red flag.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
That's a red flag. You should never have
because we don't the excuses we don't want the atrocities of.
Well, if you don't want them to happen again, then you have to be able to talk frankly about them. The other thing is
that's why I don't agree with all this erasing of history in the South. All this backlash of nonsense of taking down statues and the old adage just comes back to play. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Exactly. Well, they want to repeat it. They want us all to be fucking slaves, though.
But you know what? There'd be no conspiracies if there was no unanswered questions.
Of course.
It's like, just answer the question. Somebody somewhere knows, so just, you want to dissipate the conspiracy? Answer the question.